Hey, here I am. What a day. What a day it's been. Uh, Sorry about being off kilter and out of schedule. Had everything set up and ready to go, and then an emergency came up at work, and I had to. You know that thing, everyone has this at work from time to time, where you have to go through a list of 500 and something levels and remember all the ones that have jetpacks in them and mark that on a sheet. Seems like a very common thing that probably a lot of people deal with. Jetpack levels, am I right? Happens to you all the time? Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, we launched our new season, and one of the dailies was to fly around in a jetpack for 300 meters or whatever. And the subset of levels that we had featured at the time, because we're user generated content, just coincidentally, not very many of them actually had jetpacks in them. So a lot of people are like, oh my god, this game is trying to force me to play 100 hours just to get my daily. And we're like, no, no, it's just an oversight. Sorry, sorry. We'll get some more in. Stat. Happens everywhere. Happens at banks, happens at Starbucks, happens at slaughterhouses. What other kind of jobs are there? Firehouses? Just all the places you can work that have house in the name. Waffle houses. You think I should not cut myself? Is that a pro tip? And then you got pulled away from your desk, Quindy? Oh no. Everyone's out of sorts today. Thank you for the pro life tip. So here we go. Rocks, am I right? I am getting close to having a complete set o' rocks. Very exciting. Including even, look at this. If you want to put a rock like that, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, there's a hole in there. Got a solution for you. It's a triangle rock. Yeah. So, anyway. I'm still trying to figure out how to precisely get all of these corners to work, because I made these nice little templates, 3D printed them, so that I can have everything nice and like computer precise, even though I'm hand making everything, right? And so, but my printer's not big enough to print a frame to go around this whole thing. So I got to figure out what to do about that. I could print 2 halves, but then I wouldn't have like absolute certainty that the way I glue them together is, you know, going to be perfect enough so that if you tile this, you know, a certain number of times, it's not going to end up kind of going wonky after, you know, the 5th or 6th tile. And I'm probably kind of overthinking that, because do you think maybe, Quindy, a Chaos Mancer has entered into existence? They were born from a conjunction of like the most random elements possible happened, and that spawned a Chaos Mancer. That's definitely what it feels like on my game right now. Look at me professionally chiseling away from my body and fingers. God, I just feel like such a pro. And by that I do not mean a pregnant, recalcitrant ostrich like you might assume, but I mean short for professional. Speaking of pregnant ostriches, did you know that kiwis are like about between 14 and 18 inches tall, but their eggs are the same size as an ostrich egg? That doesn't seem right to me. I feel like kiwis should go on strike until that design flaw is fixed. Should just stop having babies. Measure 4 times and cut 8. That is one way to try to handle this. Also, I should have put on another layer of clothing. I did not expect it to be chilly in the garage today. It's been so like mild, bordering on warm lately. But that doesn't mean that's what it is here in the garage. I'm sure next week it'll be like 97 in here. So I'm trying to think, what would be the unlikely events that would have to happen in conjunction that would spawn a Chaos Mancer into the world? Like, one of them would be either Star Wars or Star Trek, either one of them, releases a piece of content that all of the fans universally love. That would be one thing. What would be another? I need a list of unlikely events. Ooh, how about we ship an update to my game and nothing's wrong with it? Well, really, I mean, you could substitute virtually any live service game in that scenario. Doesn't have to be mine. Okay, so one of the things that I'm trying to focus on at this stage is getting it so these side profiles have a nice, like from this angle, they by necessity have to be super straight, super flat. But from as many angles as possible, I would like them to read as fairly natural. And, oh, you know what might help, actually? Would be to reestablish where the actual halfway sort of meetup point is. Oh, that reminds me. I made a thing yesterday. Let's see if it worked. This is my inch-tall frame majiggy. you know, the frame of my jiggy. And I know it's an inch tall because I know these are an inch tall. Hey, ding dong diddly. And hello, Kojizilla. Welcome from the Americas. I mean, technically, you're also from the Americas, being in Brazil. Welcome from the North Americas. Alright. So yeah, basically, I should be able to slide any of these through my little slot toy here. And anywhere where it catches, I know, okay, that needs to be ground down a little bit. Just a hair. Two things I'm trying to do with the surface of these. I'm trying to have at least 3 points, like touch points, so that when you set it on the ground, it's not going to wobble. So you have places where you can glue it to whatever it is you're trying to glue it to, right? On both sides. And then the 1/2 inch up mark should have a line that consistently is flat, so that however you lay them and tile them, you'll know that they will fit together, and you won't see daylight between them like you clearly can here. Look at that daylight. It's so daylighty. But that we're going to solve by putting them into this frame and filling in any gaps, just putting clay around them. And then in theory, they will all be exactly the same, tile perfectly. It'll be beautiful. We'll get there. But for now, I figure just solving the up and down, or the Z-axis, it's a good starting point. Okay, we're catching a little there. I think it's this one. That's such a delightfully powerful heater, but it is also undelightfully very loud. I apologize. There we go. You must be at least this short to enter the ride. Oh wow, this one is way over an inch. That's interesting. Okay. And both sides, the tallest areas are pretty broad. So in order to get this down, let me see if there's some areas that are worse than others. So that guy goes in fine. This one goes, so it's really this middle strip here that I need to focus on. I'm trying to decide which I like better. Do I like the detail on the raised areas on this side more, or the raised areas on this side? I think these ones are maybe a little bit better. No offense to this side, it's not bad. None of it's bad, it's a hard choice, but I don't like to offend the different sides of my rock, because then you never know how it's going to come back to bite you. What do I like to paint? I guess I like to paint. What do I not like to paint? That's the real question. Oh, I know what I don't like to paint is stylized cartoony characters. I hate those. I did one of those, and it was this guy right here. Okay, I'll show you what I like to paint and what I don't like to paint. So here's a little character from my game that I 3D printed and painted, and that was so hard to get like everything super flat and smooth, but also like clean lines where the different colors are. Hated it. Now this I love, doing like faux patina, brass, bronze, metals, that sort of thing. That I enjoy a lot. This is a character from my books. His name is Scola. This guy was pretty fun too. I made this little guy from the Shadow of the Colossus. Goes by the name of Wander. You know what I haven't tried recently? Made a little hat so that you could wear a Colossus hat. And it has a little light up, little glow on the sigil where Wander is stabbing him. Yeah, that guy was pretty fun. I'll be giving this hat away on my YouTube channel once I get the final Colossus video done. When will that happen? Don't ask me those kind of rude questions. I don't know. Hey, Fizz. Oh, Fizz is not here. I was looking at chat from last night on my OBS. I was like, oh, Fizz, yay. Hold on, I'm gonna refresh my chat there so I don't get confused. Thank you for the shout out, Quindy. In 2023, start to paint minis from Zombicide 2nd Edition. I like a lot. Oh, you're fine, Kojizilla. Yeah, so I don't actually paint almost anything that isn't my own sculptures because I make so many sculptures that I don't have time to paint other people's. I actually did a couple years ago when I started streaming here on Reaper, they were very kind and sent me some of their really cool minis, and I was trying to learn how to do oil paint techniques on minis. You know, the Wapelius method. And that was pretty fun. I definitely like didn't spend enough time really like figuring it out. But I want to get back to that because it is very fun. Someday I will get back to that. Man, Quindy, how long have you been at Reaper? I was just thinking of this the other day that I've been streaming on this channel for over 2 years, I think now. Doesn't feel like it, but it has to be because I was streaming at my old house and I've been in this one for like almost 2 years now. Oil is great when you, especially for washes. I really like oil washes. But is it James Wapilius? He was demoing. Well, I mean, he demoed it quite a bit, but the way to use it as a base colors too, like building up layers in a really interesting way that blends them together and in a really fun painterly looking. Let's see if this is closer to fitting through the box. One of the things I'm trying to do as I shave this down is I'm trying to kind of get in and beneath, but just with the corner, and then pry it or chip it up, because that gives that really nice. Let me show some of my reference here. Gives some of that nice cracky, chippy rock look. I've been running the daytime Twitch streams for 2.5 years. Indeed, what is time? Yeah, I was just wrapping up that Shadow of the Colossus project and looking back, trying to figure out when I started it, and I'm pretty sure I started sculpting the Colossus in 2012. And started the video series, I think around 20, maybe 16 or 17. I have 33 or 34 episodes up since then, and just waiting on to finish editing all the beauty shots to do the final episode of that. Yeah, dedication is one word for it, I guess. Dratty drat. I might be being a little too timid. I'm trying to preserve too many of the little details that I love and the little cracks and fissures and stuff. But you gotta remember, they're really easy to make more. I can just I can shave it down as much as I want. But they're not the same cool ones that I see now. So my brain's like, you gotta save those. They're so good. I always feel a little bit of pride well up when my tool slips and doesn't cut me. I'm like, yeah, I made a good decision previously about where to put my hands. Okay, getting closer. This is like the advanced version of those little baby puzzles where you gotta put the shapes through the little colored grid. But in this version, you wield a sharp tool that can cut off your finger if it slips wrong. That's another thing. I want to make sure is that as I'm doing this, I'm not ruining its ability to be stable. Let's see, so if it can go rock back and forth like that, that probably means that one of these middle bits is a little too high. Getting all high and mighty. I don't think I should have to like rotate it to get it to fit through. That means something is still off. Oh, we're very close though. Okay, what am I seeing? Where's it grabbing? Looks like maybe there. Just out of curiosity, I try to run it through with sandpaper. I know it's going to be a tight fit, but if I do that, that will give me some scratchy marks on all the high points. Make it pretty clear where they are. And then without the sandpaper, yay, goes right through. Okay, cool deal. So that was these three. Oh, there's a fourth. Okay, and I don't want to get hung up on too many of the details yet because I know I'm going to be probably changing things after I get the edges on there. So one thing I need to do is make sure that this is really nice and flat, because I'm going to need to put Vaseline on there and then clay, and then when the clay sets I need to be able to like pull it one way or the other, and so if there's any little ridges to catch that, that's going to make it a lot harder. Is that a terrible sound, or is that okay? Is it good ASMR, or is it torture? Because it can only be one of those two things. Is it the best sound you've ever heard, or the worst? trying to make it so there's not like a dark line in the middle, because that means there's probably a little bit of a divot that's going to catch the clay. Come on, you can give me a better sound than that. This one might need a little more super glue. Feels like it's starting to delaminate a little bit. One goes deep. And I think I only have very fine and super coarse, whatever these are. Files? Yes, files. Where's my little wire file cleaner, I asked myself. Oh, here it is with the file. Nice. I don't know what I tried to file with this, but man, it got gunked up. Is it easy to scrape off, or is it something? Oh man. I think this is just needs to go in the scrap heap. I need to get more files. I'm going to put that in the no file. Well, this is solving my being too cold problem. Getting a good file workout here. Yeah, it's funny. All these other sides were fairly even, but this whole part down here, not so much. This is what I imagine like a giant bee snoring would sound like. Like a giant bee with sleep apnea, of course. What I'm hoping is this super glue will actually act as a little bit of a gap filler too, so if I go in with a finer sandpaper, I can get it even smoother. I don't think I need to before the next step, but if the results are problematic at all, I can go back to it and do that. we'll get around these areas too, so I don't have all these little splinters. Arthur, did you fall asleep? Wake up. Is it from the super glue fumes? Because I'm definitely feeling that. Butts to beats. I finished the Colossus miraculously. I know, you thought that would never happen, that it was impossible. But 9. 'Twas possible. So now I'm trying to finish up my texture rock set. That's drying. All right, let's get these guys set. I know. I would say I've got some postpartum depression, but I just don't got time for that. I got too many other things I'm trying to get to. Mostly I got to get book 3 done, but there are some art tasks, like I want to get the map started for Scarred King 3, but there are some logistics that are like in the book about where they travel, how far they travel between areas and stuff like that, that are going to impact the map. And I need to make sure that I'm accurate between the text and the map. So I'm having to do a final editing pass where I just read through the novel for the 800 billion trillionth time. And of course, every time I do, it doesn't matter how many times you proofread your novel or how many times you have paid a professional editor to go through it, there are still, I feel like at least once every 2 to 3 pages, there's some problem, whether it's a typo, a spelling error, a conceptual problem. I don't know what it's called when you use a word too many times, too close together, whatever that is. So yeah, I'm having to retread a lot of old ground to get it to the quality level that I'm happy with. Okay, so this guy passes the test. How's it about repetition? Word repetition. Repeating a word too frequently, repetitiously, would be a thing to call it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this actually needs a little bit more clay on it to get to that inch. So it's probably easiest to add to one of the sides. I think in this side. Let me just kind of make a note of that on it. These areas can add to. Looks like I can add almost like a 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch to get that up to an inch, and then this guy. Yeah, it's funny. My co-author, who does most of the like actual writing, I do a lot of the world development, and I go in and punch stuff up and add details and, you know, make the action scenes the way I want them and the logistics and stuff like that. But she does most of the structure of the narrative and the actual writing of it. And she's like super strong in her storytelling skills when it comes to like vividly painting, you know, the characters, their emotional depth, what they're going through, the interactions, like the alien psychology of the different fantasy creatures. Like all of that is super on point, great. But she's very weak when it comes to like the actual aesthetic of the flow of the words. She will often repeat the same the same word for the same thing like 3 times in 2 sentences. So that's one of the things that I've been finding more of every time I go through. A small price to pay for the quality of the actual story, because I mean that's obviously the important part, right? We're not making like a literary piece, a literary fiction. It has a few elements you could argue can push it towards that, but you know it's not a binary; it's a spectrum. But it's not our goal, right? We're trying to be for this particular trilogy. We're trying to be more of like a Star Wars than we're trying to be a Anna Karenina or something like that, right? Just a fun, jaunty adventure novel with lots of travel to exotic locations and meeting interesting characters, getting into a variety of hijinks and capers, but then still having some emotionally true depth to it. Epistrophe. Repetition at the end of a line, phrase, or clause of the word or words that occurred at the beginning of the same line, phrase, or clause. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about redundant uses. What was your master's in? Was it in bots or in beasts? Are you a doctor of bots or are you a doctor of beasts? You must tell us. Okay. So we got things to, oh wait, did we decide we're adding to this? I think so. Yeah, this one doesn't need as much, but still needs a little. This one doesn't need any. Hold on, how does this balance? Yeah, it just needs some filling in, like there's just some random little gross blobs here and there that I need to fix, but the actual touch points are solid. Okay, how about this guy? Oof. Needs a lot of height added to that one. Which is the best side to add height to? So we're going for 3 points of contact on this side. 3 on this one, but it kind of tapers off there. Which do I have to add the least amount of material to? Probably this one. Yeah. Science and information technology and security. Biometric keystroke dynamics and detection to determine user activity of a network. Ooh. That's got a bright future ahead of you, I imagine. That seems like an in-demand sort of field of knowledge. I think I want to add this. Okay, and then the biggest challenge is this guy. Can I even technically fit that through? Yeah, I should be able to. And it's a matter of deciding which side do I want to carve down. This ended up much thicker than I expected it to be. I'll take off most of this side. This side has like more areas of like flatter shearing and areas of rest, and this area looks like a little more eroded and grungy, and so I kind of want to keep that. If I shaved off on this part, then the two sides would look more similar, and I kind of like having these two somewhat different. You know, if you're going to have two sides anyway, you might as well give an interesting set of options with the two. You're not using it for your current job? Oh. Are you doing like my wife, who got a degree in, what did she get? So IT, what's the fancy word for advertising? Marketing, IT, and something else, and then ended up working at Starbucks for 15 years. Not in corporate, mind you, just at a Starbucks store. But she, you know, she really likes that sort of, she's a very social person and really just, she loves working retail. Well, she did while she was able to. She's sadly too disabled to continue to do it, but yeah, that was a life lesson. Don't spend tens of thousands of dollars on degrees you're not going to use. Just magically know the future so that you will know what you actually want to do. Is that so hard? Yeah, as an officially bad parent, I also encouraged my kids not to go to college until they figure out what they like, what they're good at, what they want to do. You know, there's so many things you can learn online for free right now, and so he's like my youngest son has a really good job setting up audio and light equipment for live shows. And he's a musician, so it's all like, you know, he's meeting people in the industry. He's learning about sides of, you know, music that he wouldn't otherwise have learned if he like just went to school for a music degree or whatever, right? And it's like, hey, if you know you've done that for a while and you think this is definitely what I want to do, that's a good time to go to college if you can, you know. And then pay your tuition with more confidence that it will have a payoff. This whole idea of like spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a college to find yourself and discover your passion or whatever, it's like, oh my god, that's such a antiquated, privileged approach to life. I mean, congrats to the people who can afford to do that, but just my opinion. Do not take this advice at all. Just don't take my advice. I'm just saying the bad parenting advice I gave to my kids. Free 3D models made for folks to download of Napoleonic era styled ship hulls. Modelers and gamers can use as a base to make more detailed finished pieces. See, add mass sales and stuff. Problem is, first batch was super tiny, so you upscaled a few of the new ones. Can't seem to print out. Too messy with it. Yeah. It's 3D models and 3D printing is still quite a crapshoot. Maybe that'll be solved someday. But I feel you. Train doctors how to use applications for various national contracts. I don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Engineering will never be worth zero. Well, yeah. I mean, but it is effectively worth zero to a person who gets the education and either doesn't like it or finds out that they're better or more inclined to do something else. And also, my advice to my kids is probably at least partially, if not mostly, predicated on their personalities, like knowing that they're creative, artistic, humanities-oriented types and not inclined to more engineering, you know, STEM fields. I keep not cutting myself, but like scraping myself. I don't recommend that. It doesn't feel good. It feels better than cutting yourself, but not better than not cutting or not scraping yourself. humanities degrees are great if your goal is to be a humanities degree teacher. I have a cousin who has like a master's in, like 2 different masters at least, but one is in theology and one is in philosophy. And guess what? Guess what he does? A little bit of TA and mostly dance lessons. I doubt those dance lessons are paying back the like 400 grand he paid for all that education. On the other hand, he's super fascinating to talk to. Why is that saying that's 1 inch? But it's like wider than these. Is this not actually 1 inch? That's 1 inch. Okay, caliper's calibrated. So why is it that it shows such a gap there, and yet when I try to put it through my slot, it's like, nope. Oh, well, maybe, okay. I guess it's just catching further up. Further up and further in, said Reaper-cheap. You also prefer not to scrape yourself, Quindy? Yeah, team don't like scraping yourself. High five. Oh my god. So I assume you're making plenty of money right now, Bots to Beats, but what you're describing is one of the most sought after and needed and highly compensated roles for video game companies. So if you ever, want to like combine those passions together, a tech artist, lead, or manager, you can make bank in the game industry. Now, granted, everyone I know who does tech in the game industry says they could get way more outside of the game industry, so it's probably not good advice from a strictly financial perspective, but yeah, something to think about if you want to be involved in the fun, fast, chaotic, stressful world of game design and development. Come on over, man. The water's red hot, burning. It scalds. Game dev has the non-unique problem of supply and demand. I feel like in game dev, I say this as someone who's never worked in any other industry, I feel like game dev has it worse than other industries. Well, what is unique about game dev is that as an industry, we end up paying people less because we're banking on them being emotionally excited and invested in the idea of working on a game, making an entertainment product that has cultural cachet, more so than saying, I train doctors to understand contracts or whatever it is you said, right? Not to denigrate your job, but just saying, if you're at a dinner party and you tell someone, I did the tech shader pipeline flow for Civilization 8 or Halo 19 or whatever, more people will be like, ooh, really? So that buys the industry something, and so they pay less, but then also you have this huge glut of especially younger people, who have grown up on video games and they're super excited about being able to work on them. So you have this upward pressure from the bottom that maybe you don't like have in other industries. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I imagine like lawyer or doctor probably has similar stuff because they also have the cultural and financial cachet. Yeah, I could see that being an issue, but it would definitely be hard to like take a pay cut. It's one thing to know that you could be paid more in another field. It's another thing to actively reject that pay to go into a field where you get paid less. But as a lowly artist slash designer, I probably couldn't be making more in in some other field, so I don't have that problem. Just happy to be here. All right, gonna have to go nuclear on this part. Rawr! Chop, 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 chop. Chop, chop. Which is a shame because I really like that triangle that was there. Let me see if I can recreate that triangle. A triangle of happiness. Yeah, the classic catch-22. You need experience to get the job, but you can't get the job without experience. Or you can't get experience without the job. That's how a catch-22 works. All right, Diddley, thanks so much for coming and hanging. Have a good walk. Yeah, who can retire anymore? I don't think I can ever retire. Yeah, something for nothing and chicks for free. That's that's what everyone's looking for, I guess. So confused. I guess any individual chunk doesn't have to be a full inch. It's just because it's going through the slot, any distance from the lowest to the highest area is going to cause this to get stuck. So it's low on this side, but high on this side, even though there's plenty of space below there. So maybe I need to... Okay, I did actually start grinding down that spot, but I don't want to too much. Again, I want to keep this side a little more soft and roundy, but that doesn't mean there can't be some sharper, chippier parts. Just want the dominant flavor to be the more rounded, eroded look. My Abby, yeah, I know exactly that feeling because I was at a job that, because I needed financial stability and health insurance, I didn't do the thing you're supposed to do, which is like bounce from company to company every couple of years. And man, it hurt my long term. Like, I've been in the game industry 28 years almost, coming up on, and I just got to lead status like this year. which is pathetic. Like, I have served under leads who have been in the game industry for like 4 years. Actually, no. I personally was a lead after, was it 4 or 5 years? May have just been 4 years. But then that company closed and I couldn't get another lead job. So I got, just a regular level design, level art kind of thing, and pretty much tread water for 15 and a half years. Like, I got little moments where I got to do like temporary promotions here and there, but because of the way the studio was set up, there was like almost no progress path that didn't involve quitting, going to another company, and then coming back 2 years later to be the lead. Apparently that's common in a lot of industries. I do not understand that. Why is that why? I mean, I guess I can figure it out from a psychology perspective, but you would think that with that much money on the line, there would be better mechanisms for, dealing with the cognitive biases and logical fallacies that make that sort of thing be a thing. Yeah, it's almost like you have to come in from another industry or another company to be taken seriously for promotion. Oh my god, half of what a outside. Yeah, that is so painful. It's just so many whims of fate and like personality. Like, there's a personality type that finds it fun and rewarding to like doggedly and aggressively seek out promotion, and also is not so off-putting that they subvert themselves at it. And whatever that particular mix of of personality trait is, those people do great and go really far and fast. um, and it's just because the system rewards that particular flavor of person, uh, which is fine to some degree, except that it excludes a lot of really valid, really great perspectives, because the people making the decisions, the ones getting promoted, are the ones who all kind of share this personality trait, and they're making most of the big decisions, which further biases hiring and promotional practices towards that personality type. And it's not, obviously that goes across race and gender and everything else. It's just like, people want to be around people who are more like them, so it just self-perpetuates. It's very frustrating. Sometimes it's cool to be human, and then when you think too much about it, you're like, humans suck. At least that's how I am. In sales, you made less than returns just because of, wow. Oh, fries. When will you learn? Oh, right, you won't learn because you went bankrupt. Wait, did Fry's go bankrupt? Or did they just close their location in the Pacific Northwest? No, I'm not sure. Working in customer service will certainly kill any romantic thoughts about humanity. That's for sure. I mean, there's still lovely people, and often you have to think about the context. Like, you're probably not at your very best when you're trying to return something and the tension is high, and you know. But yeah, you certainly run into some characters, don't you? Doing art for them is worse than doing non-art for bosses. Yeah, I could see it. That makes sense. Yeah, if I'm giving art, making art for other people, it's pretty much exclusively gifts. Like, it's too frustrating to think of like the opportunity cost of, how much money could I make if I was, you know, doing almost anything else. Um, is so much that it's like it would be insulting to try to sell my art because I'd be making minimum wage, because I'm like this, and I have to make sure everything is perfect all the time, and it makes the process incredibly slow and tedious, and I just can't be any other way. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to sell, well, not to sell originals. I'm hoping at some point I can figure out how to sell, you know, copies, casts, and such. Digital things, yes, all about that, but one-of-a-kind stuff, nope. Oh, and speaking of nope, looks like we are out of time. Let's go raid someone. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging and chatting. Always a delight. Shelf space, yes. Always the enemy. Rignes, yep. Speaking with respect. Good pro-life tip. All right, I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one. TTFN.